Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Michelle Morris from Consolidated Planning Group. We are so happy to have you here, whether it's your first webinar with us or your fifth or 15th. I am so glad you're here because by attending these webinars, we're hoping that you are going to gain some valuable insights into the world of financial planning for individuals with special needs. And today we're going to talk specifically about how to find good jobs for your individuals with disabilities. So before we get started, I do want to go through a few different things. We're in webinar mode, which means that I cannot see you or hear you, but I know you're out there. I see the participant count. If you have any questions or comments as we're going through this, we would love to hear those, so please put them in the chat box. I will be monitoring the chat box as the presentation goes through, and we will get to as many questions as we can. And then, of course, we're going to give you our contact information so that if we can't get to your question, or if maybe you don't want to share your question in front of a big group, well, then you can just reach out to us individually. This webinar is being recorded, and afterwards you will receive an email with a link to that recording on our YouTube channel, and you will receive the slides from today's webinar. So no need to take mass amounts of notes. You can just watch again when it's convenient for you. So again, I am Michelle Morris from Consolidated Planning Group. We are a holistic, independent, special needs focused financial firm. That's a mouthful. We're located just outside of Houston, and we serve families all across Texas and across the United States. Especially as we have had some clients move out of Texas into other states. What we have decided to do is just to keep growing our business. So if you are in Texas, today's webinar is really focused more on Texas issues. But there are always things that we talk about that apply to everybody. So if you are not from Texas, there might still be some good information in here for you. We have over 30 years of experience in financial services. We are members of the $1 Million Roundtable, Top of the Table, which is just an industry award to say we work really hard and we serve a lot of great clients. We are fully licensed in life insurance and securities, investments. We are members of the Academy of Special Needs Planners. I am a chartered special needs consultant, and we are also nationally certified Social Security advisors. So we take this very seriously. We are not just a financial firm that sometimes once in a while has a client with a disability. We are like 90-something% of the families that we work with come to us because of our ability to serve the special needs community. We can help families with protection plans, lifetime care planning, transition planning, ABLE accounts, and helping you understand all of those federal and state benefits like SSI and Medicaid and SSDI, waiver programs, all of that stuff. And we're here to educate you and to advocate for you. There are a lot of things in flux and things changing, new Medicaid and Medicare rules coming out. So keep an eye on those as new law gets passed. You know, there are over 263,000 financial advisors across the United States. And out of those 263,000 financial advisors, fewer than 200 focus on special needs planning. It's not 200,000, just 200. That's less than 0.1%. So even though there are a lot of great financial advisors out there to choose from, very few of us understand those nuances and tips and tricks that are so important when it comes to special needs planning. So you are definitely in the right space when you're with us at Consolidated Planning Group. A couple of things that I want to address before we get into today's presentation about planning for the future for your loved one specifically. We know that it keeps you awake trying to think about who is going to take care of them when you no longer can. And it's really important that no matter how old your child is, you start preparing now. I would assume that most of the people here have individuals who are teens and maybe early 20s, since we're talking about working. But even if your child is very young or older, now is the time to start planning. We're not going to, criticize you for what you have not done yet. We're just going to look at now and going forward and helping you figure things out, like what's going to happen after high school. Think about vocational options, like we're going to talk about today. There are also residential options and communities where your individuals can go live. And there are great educational options out there as well. Colleges that have courses specifically designed for our loved ones, or programs or certificates, things like that. And we always want to encourage you to be very, very careful before you just assume that a sibling will take care of their loved one in the future. Of course, it's easy to say that, and probably less expensive for your family, but we have met with a lot of grown-ups who are kind of bitter towards their parents because now they're taking care of their loved one. And the parents really didn't set anything in place or have enough savings to take care of their sibling. And they're feeling a little bit resentful about that. And not only do the caregivers feel that way, but we have also found that the disabled individuals sometimes feel a sense of resentment towards their siblings because, they're best friends, they're partners in crime, and then all of a sudden the sibling is trying to step into more of a parental role and an authority figure type of role. And that's not what they're used to. So it can cause friction on both ends when you just assume that a sibling is going to take over. So please just be careful with that, and we can help you with other planning options. Now, today we are going to be talking with Bloom Consulting. We've got Jana and Sarah here today with us, and they're going to be presenting about what Bloom Consulting can offer in terms of post-high school support. So, ladies, thank you so much for being here with us today and for sharing this information with our audience. We really, truly appreciate you.
All right. Well, I guess I'm going to start off just kind of explaining a little bit about what we do here at Bloom Consulting. So, first off, Bloom Consulting is a consulting company that helps individuals with disabilities navigate into independent living, just based off of what their goals and needs are. And we have a bunch of different programs within ours, one of them being HCS, which is the program that I predominantly run within Bloom Consulting. So what is HCS? It's actually a Texas Medicaid waiver program. It stands for Home and Community-Based Services. And like I said, it's a Medicaid waiver that supplies services and supports to people in the Texas region with intellectual disabilities. And so depending on, again, what their goals or their needs are is dependent on what services that they are offered, right? So once you have HCS, there's a multitude of services that you can possibly pick from that will benefit your child or the individual that has this Medicaid waiver. How to apply for the HCS program. So first, the child must meet the qualifications. Typically, the HCS age is predominantly 18 and up. There are cases where they have minors who are accepted into the program as young as 16 or 15. Those are typically approved through an emergency case. So something drastic had to happen in order for the HCS Medicaid waiver to kick in and take over services for that individual. So the different qualifications that are met, you can find at your LIDA, so your local intellectual and developmental disability authority, to get your name on the interest list. So, or there's a number that you could possibly call just to see if you already are signed up. I know I've talked to a couple of different nurses and doctors who have explained that they are really trying to promote the Medicaid waiver. So as soon as children with disabilities are being born, they try and tell parents sign up for this Medicaid waiver because it is a long, 7 to 15 year waiting list. And so it's good to get your child on the waiting list as soon as possible, because even though they're an infant or 1, 2, 3, 4, by the time they possibly get called up, they're gonna be in their either early 20s or late 30s, just depending on when you sign up. So just some things to think about.
I actually just want everybody to know that there is a website now where you can go and check where you are on the waiting lists and sign up for the waiting list and see which lists you're on. And that is yourtexasbenefits.com. And also there is some new legislation being worked on that is supposed to require all of the schools in Texas to notify parents about the waiver waiting lists as soon as a child is identified as having a disability. They're trying to pass that, and it's called the Handley Amendment or something like that.
Okay, so we're going to go over what the HCS requirements are. So, like I said, there's no age limit to receive services. It's just typically older adults that are receiving services just due to the wait list being so long. And a lot of people not really even knowing what HCS is. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to transition fairs or, job fairs and had to explain what HCS was, just because people aren't really aware of the services that are provided. So there is no age limit, but you have to be eligible for Medicaid services before, or you have to already have Medicaid services before enrolling into the program. And then you must have an ID under state law or a diagnosis of a related condition with an IQ of 75 or below. Your income and assets may not be more than specified limits. So a monthly income of up to 300% of the monthly income limit for supplemental security income, so SSI, and no more than 2,000 in assets. Now, this only refers to the child's income. This isn't including mom and dad's income. That's not what they're looking at. They're looking at the child's income as a whole. So that's a pretty easy qualification to meet based off of when you're applying. And then you cannot be enrolled in another waiver program. So HCS is a waiver program. Another one that maybe some people are familiar with is probably like CLASS. So let's say a child or an individual is already on the CLASS waiver. If you're already on that waiver and HCS calls you up to let you know, hey, you're number one on the waiting list, we're calling to get to see if you want to start services, you can't keep your CLASS services and then also be on the HCS waiver. So it's either or. You can still be on all these different waivers wait lists, and you can even have CLASS while you're waiting to get caught up on the HCS waiver or vice versa. You just can't have both waivers at the same time.
That's right. That's right. And that 300% of the monthly income limit for SSI in 2025, that amount is 2,901. So your child can make $2,901 a month and still be able to be on the HCS waiver or the other waivers as well.
So these are the different services that are provided through the HCS waiver. We have Host Home Companion Care, which is where if your individual is 18 years or older and they're living in the home with you, you pretty much get a monthly check for all of the services that you provide for that individual, right? So your housing, your food, your cleaning, and all of that, those different services that you're providing, that even though you're a parent, you've probably done this your whole life, it doesn't feel like, you're not used to getting paid for that. It is a service that HCS covers, depending on what level of need your individual is, depends on the monthly rate of what you'll get paid. We also have respite services. So it's when our direct support staff or care professionals go into the home and they work with your individual one-on-one in the home while you are out and about or doing whatever you need to do. You may be at work, you may go on vacation or whatever it may be. But those individuals will be taking care of your individual. Another one is our individual skills and socialization, also known as ISS, which used to be called a day program, or a day have program. They just made the name a lot longer and shortened it down to ISS. So this is basically our day have program that typically runs Monday through Friday, which we're also going to discuss later on a little bit more about that. Again, this is another service that is covered by HCS. There are a lot of limited areas in Texas, but they're all still really good programs. We have employment services, which we're also going to get into. There's dental services that cover up to $2,000 in dental services through the HCS waiver. Behavior support, so like having a BCBA actually create a behavior support plan and implement different behavior strategies for your individual, depending on what behaviors you're trying to target or improve, or just whatever different behaviors you're trying to focus on. We have supported home living transportation, so just providing transportation for your individual. Social work, so working on those social skills, occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy, dietary services, audiology, cognitive rehabilitation services for people with brain injury, accessible minor home modifications. This is just different things that can be adapted in your home. So like, for instance, I had one client who was in a wheelchair, and his host home provider, his primary care provider, was his grandmother, who was a little bit elderly. So she couldn't exactly lift him into the tub to bathe him every night. So she requested minor home modifications for a walk-in bathroom. So we were able to remodel her bathroom to be a walk-in shower so that she had easier access to bathe him. We have adaptive aids, and adaptive aids it's a whole list of things that we cover. We cover up to diapers, maybe diaper cream, wipes, gloves, sometimes like formula, like insured drink bottles, stuff like that. It's a bunch of different adaptive aids. There are some things on that list that are not included. So it just depends on what exactly you are looking for an adaptive aid. And then transition assistance services. So those are all the services that HCS provides. So how to choose Bloom Consulting as your HCS provider. So like I said, Bloom Consulting is an HCS program provider. We are one of many in the state of Texas. But pretty much how you would start is, if you are already enrolled, it's super easy. You would just contact your service coordinator and let them know that you would like to change to Bloom Consulting as your program provider to provide all of these services. If you are newly enrolled, they would first assign you a service coordinator. That initial service coordinator might just be your intake service coordinator. It might not be the service coordinator that you're with on a monthly basis that checks in on you and your services for every once a month. So first you would meet with your service coordinator. They would talk to you about the different services that you're looking for and what you want. They would give you a list, a very, very long list of all of the Texas HCS providers in your area or in the state of Texas. And then I always encourage all parents to kind of do their due diligence and, call those providers, ask them all the questions you want, take a tour of their facility, take a tour of their day have, just really don't just pick a provider just because, you've been waiting on this wait list for, however long or however many years you've been waiting. And then you're just excited to, get your services and start going. You really want to do your research and look and see if this provider aligns with what your individual's needs are. So again, I just encourage everyone to do that. And so you would hopefully select Bloom Consulting.
So, if there are some services that people are already receiving, maybe that they really like through a different provider, can they choose Bloom for certain areas and leave other things with the other provider?
Absolutely. So there are certain things that we are allowed to contract and not contract. So for instance, let's say your individual is in a residential care facility. So they're not living with you. They're not getting host home. They're not getting that that direct support staff to come into the home and work one-on-one with them, but they're living in an actual facility, we can't contract, right? So like if you're Bloom Consulting doesn't own a residential home. So if your individual lives in a residential home and you want us to be your provider, the first thing I'm gonna let you know is that I'm not legally allowed to contract with a residential facility, so I can't provide that service to you. And that might be a reason why you don't want to choose us. Now, let's say you're with another program provider and you don't have residential care, you have host home and you have employment services and you want a day hab, and you come and you want to switch over to me. You come and you realize, oh, I don't really like your day hab, but I really like my old provider's day hab. Can I go back to them, but keep you to do my host home and my employment services? Absolutely. I would reach out to your old provider. I would ask, do y'all have slots available for ISS services? And then I would just set up a contract with them in order for you to continue your day hab program services with your old provider or with whatever provider you end up choosing for those ISS services, and vice versa. So we also do have contracts where they're not necessarily our direct HCS client, but we contract with another provider only to provide those day hab services and those ISS services. Now we are at our max currently. So if you are in the Houston, Humble area, just to let you know, we do have a wait list with contracting just because we've hit our max. And so unless you're our actual HCS client, we have a wait list going for any contracts or private pay individuals.
Okay, and Bloom Consulting covers what counties?
So we currently cover Harris County, Fort Bend, Galveston. So I wish I had a map to show you, but we're actually Region 6. So if you ever look up the map and you see Region 6, we cover all of that. So we cover basically all the way from Fort Bend, Harris County, all the way down to Galveston. So we do go all the way down to Galveston. Our home office is based in Humble. But if I have a client that lives, in the Galveston area, then once a month I just drive out there and make sure that their needs are being met, that they're happy with their services. And then of course we hire and we contract in that area for them. We're not going to make them drive to Humble for services. We're going to contract with a direct care staff, a speech therapist, an ISS day hab program in the Galveston area to help that individual specifically. So we do cover those.
Okay, great. And one more, well, there's two more questions before we switch over kind of to the Mission Life program, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
This person is saying, I heard in another presentation that if you're on Medicaid and SSI, but not on the waiver yet, you could still receive funding for in-home respite care through Medicaid. And she tried to contact Medicaid and they couldn't get her any information about that. So do you know anything about how she can go about doing that?
I don't know specifically on my end of things, just because I'm the program provider end of it. I'm not in the actual LIDA. So I would reach out to your local authority or your service coordinator or even the Harris Center, like directly call the Harris Center rather than Medicaid, because sometimes Medicaid, they only know what's on their screen, and the Harris Center, or I'm assuming you're in the Harris County area, but call your local county's office and ask them, what are the restrictions or what are the legalities of, the steps that I can take in order to make sure my individual is covered.
Okay. And then this question, do you take insurance? To me, I mean, I think if somebody is not, their name has not come up on the wait list for these waivers yet, could they still contract with you to get some of these services through their insurance or through private pay or anything like that?
Yes. So yeah, we do offer private pay. But we also did have a contract set up with I forgot what they're called. They just recently changed their name. And we did have insurance set up with them only, actually. But then they recently changed their policies and they dropped Harris County. So we lost a lot of clients due to that contract. But we are in the process of trying to get contracts with United Healthcare, with Blue Cross Blue Shield. So we've reached out to different insurance companies to get a contract in place with them. It's just a waiting game in the process of approval.
Oh, okay. Okay. And then you mentioned earlier that there is a wait list for those people.
Yes, yeah, for the private pays and for like any like class waiver individuals who want the contract with us or any other HCS clients who have a different provider but want to contract with us specifically for our ISS program, we do have a wait list going right now.
Pretty much everybody's going to be on a wait list of some kind to get
Yeah.
services. It's just there are far too many people who need help and far too few helpers.
Yes, exactly.
All right, thank you so much. Please tell us
Yeah.
about the Mission Life program.
Yes, ma'am. So our Mission Life program, so for one, Mission Life stands for Leading Individuals to Fulfilling Employment. Mission Life is the name of our ISS program, our day hab program. And basically, we founded this ISS program with the foundation of employment first, right? So even though we take our individuals out to do fun activities and socialize and integrate into the community, we are constantly working on a foundation of seeking employment and job skills. So we may take them, to do something fun like going bowling, but then we're also talking to them about what job opportunities do you see that you could possibly fit in here? Or do you like this work environment? Do you like fast pace or do you like slow pace? Or, do you like the idea of having to re-rack shoes and clean bowling balls? So we're constantly teaching them about different skills along with their communication and their social skills, and just always kind of teaching them how to be in a appropriate work setting, right? So even though they're here and they're hanging out with their friends and they get along with our staff and it's a very lighthearted environment, we still remind them, there are some things that are inappropriate to say in a social setting, not only just a social setting, but also if this were a work setting. If I was at work, would I speak to my coworker this way or would I speak to my supervisor this way? And so we're constantly trying to teach them, just the different social cues that encompass what the work environment would look like, depending on where they see themselves. So we currently have one location. It is in the Humble office, but we are hoping to open our second office in the Kingwood area. A majority of our clients now do come from the Kingwood Atascocita area, so that's predominantly why we're trying to reach out in that area, just so it's a closer location for those individuals. Currently, right now, it's just a process of trying to get a location open. But yeah, so currently right now, it's just one location in Humble. So these are the different activities that we do throughout the week. So Mission Northeast is actually a food bank, kind of close to off of 99 and 59 in the, I want to say Porter area, so a little bit ways past Kingwood. And basically our individuals go there and they stack lunches or they'll build backpacks for less fortunate children, or they'll just do different routines or activities that the volunteers have that day. They really love doing volunteer opportunities because it gives them a sense of purpose and belonging, and they feel like they are making a difference and they're helping individuals within their community. The other activities that we do is Meals on Wheels. We do this typically on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. We alternate our two groups. And again, same thing. They love doing Meals on Wheels. They love packaging these meals. A lot of times they get like the same recurrent clients on their route. So they'll sit there and they'll talk to these individuals for a good minute. We do got to remind them about staying on top of time and having better time management. And again, those appropriate conversations. And then after our Meals on Wheels, we always do a big social dinner. So we might go to Chili's or we might go to TGI Fridays or wherever we go, and we just kind of discuss proper manner etiquette at the dinner table and how to respectfully request things from your waiter, how to properly tip and pay, whether it's with card or with cash. Moving forward, a lot of cash is kind of dispensed. And so we're really just focusing on how to use their card, how to actually read the receipt, read how much they're tipping, just different stuff like that. And then we have our life skills and employment classes. So typically we do these classes out in the community. So we might go to our local community center and rent a room, or we might go to a local library and rent a conference room, and we'll do set up like mock interviews. We'll do different employment skills classes. We'll do resume building classes. We've done cooking classes. We've done just being aware of your surrounding classes. We've even done health and hygiene classes to teach our boys and our girls how to, properly take care of their bodies. We've done emergency preparedness classes. In Houston, we get those crazy hurricanes and how to kind of accommodate that. And then also we have our fun Fridays. So we do, we've done like the movies, we've gone to Topgolf, we take them to the beach, we've done different little parties out in the community. They've gone to the movies, the zoo. So they do a lot of different fun stuff on our Fun Fridays. But again, we always keep it based on a foundation of employment and how we can see what employment is out there for our individuals.
That's so great. People are hoping that you're going to keep expanding and growing and get more opportunities in more areas.
Oh,
What age ranges do you guys cover?
age range. So we don't actually have like a cutoff age range, but I will say our youngest client is 16 years old. He only attends during the summer when he's out of school. And other than that, our youngest client, I want to say, is in his mid 20s, and we go all the way. Our oldest client, I want to say, is in her late 50s. Yeah.
Wow, very cool.
Yeah, we have a variety of clients, but they all get along. They all love each other. They bicker like their brother and sister sometimes. And, we have to facilitate those kinds of arguments and explain, like, well, you seem like you're upset. Like, let's discuss this. How do we properly express our emotions? And, so it's definitely a well-rounded group of individuals. And so Oh, so to continue with Mission Life. So how do I pay for Mission Life? So our program has many different funding options. Like I said, we have our HCS waiver, we have private pay, we contract with class, and then we just contract with services through other current providers, which I said we had. I really wish I could remember their name. We had a one insurance company, but we're currently trying to get more. So be on the lookout for that as well.
Very cool. Is there a specific name for the summer program, or it's just use
It's
your
Mission
program
Life.
during the summer?
Yes, yeah, it's just Mission Life, and we just get an influx of clients during the summertime because school's out and individuals come more during the summertime. But it's
Yeah.
the same exact program. We pretty much run the same schedule, except we probably have a little more variety of fun activities that we can do just because of, in the summer there's a lot more things to do. So but we still do Mondays Mission Northeast, Tuesdays, Wednesdays Meals on Wheels alternating, and then we do like the volunteer opportunities and classes and stuff like that.
Wonderful, wonderful.
So with that, that was our Mission Life program. So other than our Mission Life program, we also do offer employment assistance. So what employment assistance is essentially, it's a service that HCS provides where we help offer support for employment, job placement, job coaching, and just different trainings for the for an environmental work assessment. So essentially, if you selected employment assistance, your individual would come and they would be assigned a staff that works one-on-one with them. They would do a PICS assessment or a job assessment to see, what are their wants and needs in a job. Like, do they want a high-paced environment, or do they want a slow-paced environment? Do they want to work more solo, individualized, or do they want more in a group setting? Just different, what they're looking for, right? And again, this is just their first intake of the assessment. After we kind of figure out what they actually like, so they might say that they really want to work at Pizza Hut because they love pizza, but then they realize I don't like to touch things and I don't like to smear the red sauce on the pizza. Then, okay, you like pizza, but you don't want to work with pizza. That's totally fine. We switch it up and we go with something else. We do help them through the interview process. And then once they actually get the job, we help them with onboarding with that employment as well. I believe the next slide should be about supported employment, which is what we transition into with HCS. So with HCS, employment assistance is us basically helping our individual prep to get the job. Now, once the individual has gotten the job, secured that employment, the service switches to supported employment. And supported employment is, it helps, our individuals pretty much obtain and keep that employment. So we do on-site job coaching, we do transportation, we do job skills training, and then we just help them express like whatever their accommodations and supports may need. If they want to disclose their disability, if they don't want to disclose their disability, we just kind of really coach them through all of that. And I feel like one of the main successes of this program is that we build relationships with our employers. So I know all of my supported employment clients managers, and I text them and I check in on them. And if they're, on third strike, they're immediately calling me and texting me saying like, hey, we need someone to come step in for a little while because they've kind of slacked off or they gotten a little too comfortable and, immediately we're there and we're helping them get back in the rhythm of, securing that job and keeping that job.
So
Mhm.
does everybody get a job, or do you have a certain ratio of how many?
And everyone gets a job if they want a job, right? So like I basically tell all of my parents and all of my clients like this is absolutely up to you. We go at your pace. So if you want to go out there and just go and apply to 20 jobs, I'll sit there and I'll apply to all of those jobs with you. Now, if we go to the interview and you're struggling, I'm going to help you through the interview. So it's really it's the same thing as if, us like if I was going to go and look for a job. It's the same exact thing except we're just supporting them through that entire process. We don't have job placements, so I don't have just like a list of work sites that I can just plug them into and be like, okay, this is your job, this is what you're going to do now. Like it's very much like a real life work experience. It's real that they're going through the job searching process, they're going through the resume building process, they're going through applying, interviews, all of that stuff.
Fantastic. And of course, you have all this information on your website as well, right?
Yes, yeah, I believe so.
Now, do you
And then
feel,
this, I'm
oh,
sorry.
I'm sorry, before you get into this slide, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit, do you feel like it's beneficial to them to disclose a disability, or do you think it's better that they don't?
I always leave it up to the individual. I will say I think it absolutely depends on their work environment and who their manager is, because I have personally met some really amazing managers who are accommodating and they are understanding. And then I've met some who are just trying to hit their disability quota and they're like, well, do they have a disability? Like, do and they're just so, like it's almost beneficial because at least it gives them a break and that person's not just nagging them and on them constantly. So I will say I think it absolutely depends on the job and the people working at that site with that individual.
Okay.
So you kind of got to take it day at a time. Um, with that being said, these are all of our successful supported employment clients that we have here that are actually located in our Houston area. Our first one being Jake. He has been employed at HEB for, I want to say 3 years now. He has won awards for his customer support, customer service, and he absolutely loves it. Every time you talk to him, he'll tell you that he loves being the best worker at HEB. And his manager is honestly super amazing. From the first time I met her, she has just always been great. There was, I think, one instance where he kept showing up late to work, and she immediately called me and was like, "Hey, look, it's not me, but HEB has a point policy, and he's on his third point, and so I need you to step in." Immediately, we stepped in, we fixed it. Literally, have not had a problem with Jake since then. So. We also have Quentin. He is our entrepreneur. He actually started his own shredding business where I think he currently holds 5 consistent clients that he shreds paper for. He creates the invoices for and he sends them out, and his clients pay him. Our company is also personally one of his clients as well. And he takes a lot of pride in that. He comes in my office and he'll just ask me if I have any paper for him. And if I don't, he'll usually make a little joke about how, I'm keeping him out of a business. And so he does really great. We practice a business pitch for him. So we've done like the whole elevator pitch to get him to kind of go out and really market his business to other individuals. And then we have Dalton. So Dalton currently works at Kingwood Pet Resort in the Kingwood area, and he absolutely loves it because he loves working with animals. I will say previously he did work at Spring Creek, and there he had a horrible manager that he felt just didn't really understand him, didn't give him proper accommodations. And when I talked to him about it, asking him if he wanted to, really pursue it, we can talk about this, we can work it out. He made his own decision that he was going to put in his 2 weeks and he was going to go find another job. And he did exactly that. So we do support all of our individuals in making their own decisions. We help them outweigh the pros and cons of every decision, but at the end of the day, they are adults and they're allowed to, make their own decisions on their life and how they want to proceed. Um, Then fourth, we have Josh. He has been employed at Kroger's for over a year. I want to say it's almost over 2 years now, actually. I think we're getting close to 2 years. Where he is currently earning competitive wage and he works at least 30 hours per week, if not more. He definitely fluctuates, but he also gets called in a lot. So a lot of times his manager will call him in last minute and be like, hey, can you pick up a shift? And at first, he used to always say no because it's not on his schedule, and he was very detail oriented and schedule based. And I had to really remind him, like, no, this is a good thing. This means you're doing a great job, and that they want you to come in and work more. And so, yeah, he absolutely loves it too. Him and Jake actually go back and forth sometimes with which grocery store is better, and I think it's just because they both work at them. So, but these
They
are
each
our
think their own grocery store is the best.
yes. Yeah. Yeah. So these are all of our success stories. And yeah, we're just really proud of our guys.
That's fantastic. Such a great program.
And then these are just some pictures of our employment assistance and supported employment clients with their direct care staff. And they're just filling out different like pros and cons of like different job sites and what they would like to do. And then building their resume. And then this bottom left picture and top right is just different job skills that we've worked on with them. Like if they would like to work in a grocery store setting. A lot of times they think it's fun to scan like groceries, but then they realize like, oh, well, actually have to help like put groceries back or have to restock, and they take into consideration everything else, and they're like, no, this isn't really for me. So
Now, do you work with individuals? Like I know that sometimes maybe someone really loves animals and really wants to work with animals, like the young man on the previous slide, but maybe they don't do well in a noisy situation. Do you help them balance those kind of expectations of reality versus what they feel like would be fun?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we're constantly explaining to them the differences of like liking something, but then also working for it, or how you can like something and work for it, but then slowly what we explain what burnout is and how burnout can turn into something that, well, maybe I really like this, but now I'm no longer enjoying it because it's something that I'm obligated to do instead of something that I like to do or want to do. So we do always talk out those processes. And if they decide that they do still want to continue, then we give them different accommodations for that, right? So if it's noisy, we offer them noise canceling headphones. If it's too fast paced, then we usually speak to their manager about giving them like a set schedule of frequent breaks to build up their work task time. So it's just different stuff like that, depending on the individual. Everyone's different, so we build their plan of care based off of them.
Fantastic. Thank you.
And with that being said, that was all I had. I'm gonna lend it over to Miss Jana, who's gonna speak on her services and all the amazing things that she does for Bloom.
Thank
Awesome.
you so much. This has been fantastic so far. I can't wait to hear about the TWC programs.
So my name is Jenna. I do the supported employment services through the Workforce Commission, and I am located in the Austin area. Um, a lot of the supported employment stuff that Sarah was talking about, I do a lot of that same stuff, but we have different protocols and rules a little bit that the workforce has us do. So I focus mostly on career planning assessments and environmental work assessments. They're real similar. The only difference between the two is the amount of time you spend with the person. So a lot of the workforce sends us a lot of career planning assessments. So the environmental work assessments are spent on people that are more, I guess you could say, lower functioning, to see if they are work ready or work capable. So when doing a career planning assessment, we spend about 6 or 7 hours on out in the community testing work skills. So we do an intake to get their basic information, what they would like to do, what they possibly would want to do, and then we take them into the community to test those skills. So we'll take them to, like, for example, Walmart, and we'll do different things there to test different transferable skills. Like we'll do stocking stuff. We'll do a customer service role play scavenger hunt to show that they can navigate around the store, that they can provide customer service, that they could use their brain, that they can answer questions, all kinds of different little things. So once we do those assessments, whether it's the CPA, which is the career planning assessment, or the environmental work assessment, once that's done, I create a report for that counselor at the workforce, and they have us create what is called a plan, a supported employment plan. And on that plan, there is about 12 different job tasks on there that they could do, whether it's cleaning, stocking, customer service, whatever those job tasks are that client or customer can do is on that plan. And we connect them to long-term supports, whether it is the Austin Clubhouse, whether it's ARSL for counseling with the Social Security Administration, whatever long-term support they need, we connect them with that, because the workforce and Bloom Consulting is a short-term service. So during that plan meeting, we go over all that stuff with them. We create those 12 key tasks that they can do, the hours of their availability. Do they want a fast-paced work job? Do they want a slower paced work job? Everything that Sarah's talking about, we go over all that. And then we take them to interviews with whatever jobs that we've applied at for them, and we do the interviews with them, and we support them in those interviews. And then once they're placed into that job, we teach them different little ways to learn their job, whether it's hand over hand, verbal redirection, whatever that person may need, we help them and cater to their specific needs on learning that job. We connect natural supports on that employer with coworkers and management to make sure that they're learning that job and that they have natural supports at that employer. So if there's any questions that they have, we're not on site, that they can go to that natural support on that employer. Like I said, whether it's a manager or a coworker, to have those questions asked. And then we follow up and we follow through. We make lots of supports with the managers, like Sarah said, to make sure that everybody's following through, that there's not any concerns, and if there are concerns, then we address those. Can we go to the next slide, Miss Michelle?
There you go.
As I spoke about in the beginning, we go to 3 different sites. It doesn't have to be these 3 places. It just depends on what that person wants to kind of explore. But these are kind of 3 places that are used quite often, because they can be used for different transferable skills in a whole bunch of different environments. Walmart is a big one that's used because it is a corporate environment that has, they have food, they have apparel, they have stocking, they have warehouse, they have garden, they have all those different environments in one building, which will test a whole bunch of different transferable skills for that person. So they can test their weightlifting skills to see if they can test and lift at least 50 pounds for stocking. They test for folding and hanging, clothing and apparel, grocery stocking, all that fun stuff. If you've ever worked in grocery, there is FIFO, which is first in, first out, so that you're not making anybody sick. You want to make sure the new product is going in the back and the old product's moving to the front. So there's a whole bunch of different indicators on what a person can and cannot do when you're testing different skills in different areas. And we're putting all that data into that report for that counselor, so that they can see what that person is capable of doing, what they're not capable of doing, where they fit in best. Is it a big environment, a small environment, a whole bunch of different stuff. And then we also test basic skills when doing these assessments, like, are they able to type? Can they read? Can they do basic math? Can they cashier? Can they do data entry? A whole bunch of different things we test for, just to see what they're capable of doing and finding the best fit for them in the job industry. Because with supported employment in the Workforce Commission, we're not allowed to do job carves. So like with Sarah and her area, they're allowed to kind of cater more to finding a job and carving it to that person's fit. But with supported employment in the workforce, they have to be able to do at least 2 job tasks that employer requires. So it's not really a job carve. They actually have to do at least 2 tasks that employer wants them to do. Like, we can take tasks out of the stuff that the employer wants them to do, but they have to at least be able to do at least 2 job tasks within that employer. So it's pretty much with supported employment, it's the same jobs that you and I would do, but they have more support. And the name of the assessments are called career planning assessments or environmental work assessments. Those are the names of those assessments. I just saw that pop up on the questions.
Mhm.
So the screen we're on now is called the Supported Employment Plan, and it just kind of shows those 12 job tasks at the top there, what they would be able to do. Cleaning, stocking. It could be something such as working as a team. I always put working as a team on there because I want to make sure that they have support around them and that they're not like working solo somewhere. Because if they've never worked before, you're going to want them to work with somebody so that they have support around them. I always refer people to, in our area, we have Integral Care and we also have Bluebonnet Trails. And those are also long-term supports for people on top of the Austin Clubhouse. So whenever they do hit a closure point with the Texas Workforce and Bloom Consulting, whichever county they're living in, whether it's Austin, which would be Integral Care, or Williamson County, which would be like Bluebonnet Trails. If they hit the closure point with the workforce, then one of those two companies can step in and do the same thing that I and the workforce are doing, but they can do it long term. So let's say the employer or the person gets hired at Walmart. I always use Walmart for an example because everyone knows Walmart. And they are working in apparel, and then they want to cross-train that person in a different area, and they've already hit a closure with the workforce. Well, Bluebonnet Trails or Integral Care can actually step in since they hit a closure and cross-train them in that other area that that employer, Walmart, wants to train them in. So with that being said, they still have those supports that they're needing. So they get the training that they need in that new job tasks. Bluebonnet Trails and Integral Care can also step in and speak with management to make sure that the training is going well. If there's any issues that arise, then they can also step in and help solve those issues. So it's always good to have those long-term resources set up for that customer or client, or make sure that the parents or that person has it set up in the end. Make sure they're following this plan, that they have those 12 job tasks, that they're following at least 2 of those in that job, because they, like I said, they have to do 2 tasks within those 12 job tasks to follow the rules and the protocols with the Workforce Commission. Okay, can we go to the next slide?
Yeah, well, yeah,
Sorry.
we'll get to questions after, no problem.
I'm trying to watch the time too.
Absolutely.
When they're doing supported employment with the Texas Workforce Commission through Bloom Consulting, before they're hired anywhere, we do create resumes for them, Indeeds, emails, all that fun stuff, because when they're in supported employment, we're doing more of the monitoring of those applications than the person themselves, because we want to make sure that they're getting those applications in, that they're following up on those resumes, that are following up. Like if an employer hits them up and says, hey, we want to do an interview, most people with a special need aren't going to be like, hey, I need to hit them back and set this up. So that's where we come in. We do all the so-called dirty work. We follow up with that employer. We set up that interview with them. We go to that interview with them. We support them in that interview, all that good stuff. So anything support-wise and anything job-wise through the workforce, we're there with them for that. We go to the interviews. I read the managers when I'm there in the interviews with them. So I let the parents know ahead of time that if we go to an interview and we see a manager that's not going to be very supportive of that person, that as soon as we leave that interview, I'm going to tell that parent or that person, hey, if they offer you a job, I think you might want to keep interviewing because they're not going to be a very good support for you. Or if they're going to be an amazing support and I see that manager is going to be a great support for that person, then I'll also tell them, hey, if they offer you a job, you might want to accept this job because they're going to be a great support factor for you and they're going to give you everything you need in any need that you might have. So if they offer you a job, please accept this job because they're what you need. So I don't sugarcoat anything for our people. I'm very straightforward. I'm not mean with anything, but I'm very straightforward. So when I'm on sites with these people doing the interviews, since they can't read the managers, that's what I'm there for. I'm reading the managers, I'm reading the environment. I'm looking at all aspects of everything to make sure that they're put somewhere that they're going to be successful and they're not going to be treated like dog poo in the end. Once they're placed into that employer, I help them learn that job. So I go in there and I job coach them, those different tasks, whatever their job may be. Some people may need hand over hand. Some people may just need to be like showed what to do and then thrown in there and let them do it. It just depends on that person's needs and what they show you. So you have to kind of cater to everyone's needs and just pretty much put their needs ahead of yours and just show them what they need. Everyone's different, so you just kind of have to, like I said, make it based on what their needs are. Um, you're going to have to help them with the computer training. You're going to have to help them with creating natural supports, learning the site, learning their managers, all that good stuff. So you are their go-to person for everything within an employer. Whether it's if it's a big building, a small building, you're teaching them everything they need to know. So with that being said, I can pretty much do every job under the sun right now.
What have
Um,
been some of the best places to find employment for your students?
um, some of the best places that I've noticed in the past few years, HEB and Walmart's been a really good set of places for people with entry level skills that need supports. Um, I don't want to say an employer that's not good because I don't want to give that employer a bad name, but there
Of
is a
course.
certain corporation that is not real supportive of us going into sites. So like that certain employer will not speak to us. Like they'll give people jobs, but they will not speak to us about that person. So they're not real supportive. But I've noticed the HEB and Walmart are real good with getting people hired that have disabilities and supporting them in the aspects that they need. HEB actually has a bridges program. So if you ever apply to HEB and you're not getting the answers you need, you can actually email bridges@heb.com and they will help you with getting that application process going through.
Bridges@heb.com. I'm just going to put that in the chat box in case anybody needs to email HEB about that program. So here's all the contact information for Sarah and Jana and the various programs that are offered. So please take this stuff down because, we only have an hour today, and there are so many questions that I feel like we weren't able to get to. Please follow up with Sarah and Jana and let them help you get your questions answered. And of course, you can follow up with me on the financial and special needs planning side of things too. You guys, do you work typical normal hours and you're reachable? Do you prefer email or phone or what?
I will respond to any emails. My hours vary. I don't work just Monday through Friday because my people may work on the weekends. So my schedule is very flexible. So if you respond or send me an email or whatever, I will respond to your email within 24 hours.
And I typically work Monday through Friday, regular business hours. I have direct care staff that work with our individuals on their weekends and their actual job coaching and everything. But if you email me, I will respond within 24 hours as well.
Fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and put up just this last slide so that if anybody wants a free consultation with Consolidated Planning Group, you can use the QR code. You can contact me. You can contact the office, and we would get you set up for a free Zoom consultation so that we can answer all of your questions. So let's see, what else do I see? How often do your clients get promotions and raises? Does that happen for them?
It does. I actually have a kid, or he's not a kid. He is a young man that has a engineering degree. He got his engineering degree and wasn't having any luck getting placed. And we were able to place him in a engineering company that is worldwide.
Wow,
So he
fantastic. So
has
it's not all just, stocking shelves and
no,
checking
not at
out
all.
groceries. There's a lot of options.
Yes,
Someone
ma'am.
was asking about quieter places like bookstores or libraries.
It's possible. It just depends on their capabilities and what they're capable of doing.
Now, I've heard about the Workforce Commission paying for classes at universities. Is that true if that's on their employment plan?
Um, the workforce will pay for classes and education. They don't advertise that. They will also pay for your driver's education. So if you need to get your driver's license to drive to and from work, there is a thing called what is it? Stress-free driving. They don't advertise that. I'm probably gonna get kicked in the butt for telling you all this because it's
We didn't
very
hear it from
expensive.
you.
But it's called stress-free driving in our area, and they will pay for it. Like I said, they don't advertise it, so I'm probably going to get a few emails for advertising this, but it helps our people get to and from jobs. So if I get emails and get griped at, that's okay.
So you guys have mentioned that you work mainly in like the Harris County and down to Galveston and like over in Austin. If people are not in your areas, who would you recommend that they reach out to? Their local Texas Workforce Commission or their LITAs, their local authorities? What would be the best next step?
If you're needing supported employment services, and you're in a bigger city, Austin, Houston, or whatever, definitely reach out to your workforce commission and tell them you're needing supported employment. If you're needing the services that Sarah and them provide, also reach out to those providers in your area and they can help you with that.
Okay, okay, fantastic. Thank you so, so much for your information today and for everybody who's been here listening to us. Now, if you have additional questions, because like I said, I know that there's stuff that we did not get to, please reach out to either Jana or Sarah or myself. We will get you the information or steer you in the right direction, whatever we need to do. But I really appreciate everybody for being here today, and I hope that you've found some useful information today. You will receive these slides later on today in your email that you registered for the webinar with. And then you can go rewatch the webinar on our YouTube channel once we get that posted. It usually takes about a day. So again, thank you all for being here. I look forward to hearing more from you in the future. And if there's anything we can do to help, please just reach out and let us know. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.